Hey there, this video comes from the PigCake Magic Academy. The reason I'm putting it here is to hopefully entice you to join. Some people think that I'm idiotic for putting out the entire content here for you to watch, but you get access to over 1,200 videos, I believe 1,300 at this point if you join. So go ahead, you can look at the link in the description section below and see the type of content that I'm putting out on the Academy. So make sure to check it out after you watch the video. So on today's Card Academy lesson, we're going to be going over a very simple control and a variation that makes this technique a lot easier. Now, one of my favorite moves in all of card magic is the Marlowe retention switch. It's a beautiful move, and even the position in which you use to switch the card is something that could be useful. For example, in this particular control, we're making use of it to a lesser extent, but still enough to actually control the card to the top of the deck. So for this, let's say the participant happens to touch something like the 3 of spades. When the action of scoring up that card, guess what? It's controlled directly to the top of the deck. Now, this is just one of many different ways of doing this particular movement. Now, from the exposed angle, you can see exactly what's taking place here. The participant's looking at the card in the action of just squaring up the cards. That card is always directly on top of the deck. And you could tell that we're making use of this position, which is what I was talking about earlier. This is the position that got famous with Marlowe's retention of vision control. It's a wonderful position. Again, a lot of things you could do from this particular idea. And this is just one of them, because here we're showing a participant in what is a very innocent action. However, this position allows us to just lift up ever so slightly on this particular corner and provide a gap in which we could actually receive the rest of the cards. Now, what's great about this is that the difference in depth between this and this really isn't much from the front. As a matter of fact, it's just this and this, so it's really not noticeable. It just looks like you're using that to show the rest of the audience the actual card. Now, when I take the remaining cards and score them up, you notice that the illusion is still pretty good, that card is still in the middle. Really, it's actually on top. Now, there are little tips and tricks that you could do to actually make it look like it's directly in the middle, and we're going to cover that when we actually go in detail for the move. So for this, we're going to spread the cards and have the participant touch any card they want. Let's say they happen to touch this one. We're going to prop that card up above the upper left corner. Notice the position of the thumb. If we remove the card, the position of the thumb is over here, and that card is going to be able to be levered over by just putting a little bit of pressure with the thumb. Now, you don't want that card to go all the way because then the move's going to be a little bit obvious. You want to find that nice sweet point where you could actually receive the cards without having any sort of interference, and also not actually showing the fact that you're tilting the card to the audience. So at this point, from the front, this is what it looks like. It looks like you're showing the cards. Now, even before you put the card, you could have the card squared up in the middle long before the participants actually see you pressing the card in the deck. So you're more than welcome to take these cards, put it in, and now you have this final image for the participants to look at before you square up the card directly. Now, one little touch is that when you bring these cards directly underneath, you put pressure forward with that card. Now, what's going to happen there is that pressure is going to push that card towards the bottom pile. Now, because of that, it's going to look like that card is directly in the middle. However, this is the situation from the side. Of course, if I use my fingers to cover it, you really can't see much, and the participants are just instructed to look at the card. Now, at this point, I'm going to square everything up, and it's going to look like that card has remained in the middle. Really, it's on top of the deck. So one more time from this angle, we have the participant touch a card. We're going to out-jog it, and we're going to lift it to this angle. Now, at this point, we're going to tilt it up. We're then going to use these cards and square it up with that gap. And now we're in a perfect position for the control. So from the front, it just looks like an innocent action. It looks like you're showing the cards to different participants. We just square up those cards, and now we could press that card into the deck, and it gives a really nice illusion that card is in the middle. Now, you might want to watch your angles for this. From this angle, it still looks pretty good. However, from this angle, they could pretty much see everything that's going on. So you are going to have to watch your angles here and make sure that you are covered at least from this position and this position over here towards your right. Now, there are other variations of this move, like that, for example, where the card is controlled. But those involve just finicky, weird movements where you're having to angle the card instead of in this position as before, you're angling the cards in this position. The reason for that is because when you square the card up with the deck, you don't want it necessarily being squared up flush. You want it squared a little bit in-jogged. What this allows you to do is that there's not going to be an excess of a flash of movement on the above part of the packet. So now when you pull in and get into that Marlowe position, you still have that gap where you could square the cards up, and that card is going to get controlled to the top. So from the front, this is what I mean. If I don't decide to bring the card down to this angle, look what's going to happen. You see that? You can see exactly where the card is. However, because I angle the card down, when I square the card up, you really don't see much. And look, the card is ready to receive the other half. So from the front, it just looks like this. And when you square it up, it just looks like you're squaring up the cards but really it's on top. It's just a subtle variation, and it's one that involves a little bit more of an in jog rather than an out jog. Still, it's a very fun, effective control. I really like it because it's done before anything takes place. Not to say that the controls where you have to do something else, like putting the card in the half and putting that in the other half, aren't good, but this one is done because it's easy, it's quick. You have the participants look at the card, you could show it to different participants, and just in the act of scoring up the cards and pushing it in, that card's already on top. Now, what's wonderful about this is that you could do it with multiple cards. So you could have this for a multiple selection routine, and all the cards are going to be controlled to the top on top of each other. Now, quick note, these are my upcoming playing cards. I'm sure you've seen me use them a lot. The actual campaign date for Kickstarter is going to be on June 19th of this year. And to be honest, I'm a little bit nervous. Obviously, I'm getting the jitters from this because it's my very first deck of playing cards. Now, I've mentioned this on various channels, on Instagram, on YouTube, but this is definitely going to be the first of many, many decks to come. I'm really happy with the way everything came out with this deck, even though it's taken way longer than I wanted to actually put it to production. But it represents a lot, and it represents the journey that I've made to get to this point in my Magic career, if you want to call it that. And I think that that means the world. So we're going to be selling them along with a stretch goal of a potential Vaporwave style deck. I haven't mentioned that anywhere else apart from here on Kickstarter. And that's going to be a more of a purple, but that's only going to be manufactured if we actually reach that stretch goal. Regardless, we're still going to get a lot of these bad boys out in production, hopefully through the Kickstarter campaign. And if you're interested, I'm going to have the link here, and then I'm also going to have it on my YouTube channel along with a live stream while we actually launch the campaign, which is going to be pretty nerve-wracking, but I imagine it's going to be fun. So if you guys want to join, it's going to be on June 19th. But apart from that, that's the lesson. I really hope you guys enjoyed that. Thank you guys for being members of the PigCake Card Academy, and I hope to see you on the next one.
I see you again, when 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 I see you again.